Hey, what's going on? This is Fred. I want us to talk about something today. It's the importance of putting together a budget, right? So many people, many of the people I talk to, right, most of the people I talk with, they have some type of financial goal, whether that's going to be saving money for a car, down payment for a home, right? But they don't have a budget put in place, right? So the first thing I always tell people is when you're looking at trying to do some type of big purchase like that, you want to do your homework. You want to definitely want to save money to make sure you have the money for a down payment, right? If you're looking at trying to purchase a home, you can get in with 3.5%. Sometimes they even have programs that help you with down payment assistance, right? So you always want to make sure that you're speaking with a qualified mortgage person, someone who could help put you in front of the right people as far as a loan, but they could also tell you what type of knowledge that they have. So first thing, number one, always make sure that you have your budget in place to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to go ahead and get started with that budget and saving that money for the down payment, right? Now, I always want to make sure that people understand the importance of having an emergency fund, right? Now, a few weeks ago, maybe about a month and a half ago, I posted my journey in regards to a brand new emergency fund that I wanted to start just as a contest, right? Not really a contest, but like just so I can be in it with you guys. And I started that probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Starting to put together another emergency emergency fund, right? $1,000. That's all I want to put in there, right? But I just wanted to get you guys used to putting money in, right? Because you always want to make sure you're putting money in, but make it a habit just to, before you even touch it, before you see it, just move the money so that way you never see it, right? Move it where you need it to go, right? I set up a specific account for the emergency fund for what I'm doing. So I just wanted to make sure that one, you got your budget in place. Two, started working on that emergency fund, right? I'm looking over here at my notes because I want to make sure that I go over the things, right, with you, right? You want to track your spending, all right? And what does that mean? Right? A lot of times people, they say that they spend this much money, but they don't know the exact amount, right? What I want you guys to start getting familiar with and getting in the habit of doing is tracking how much money you're spending, right? Because a lot of times we'll go out to eat for lunch or maybe we'll stop at Starbucks to get some coffee, but we don't write that down in our budget as far as like tracking purposes, right? So we want to make sure that we have an exact amount of what we're spending, whether you do that daily, weekly, monthly, whatever the case, you want to make sure that it's getting done and it's part of your program as far as your budgeting and your overall financial plan is going. You want to make sure that you are tracking these things. Track your income, track your expenses, right? Because you want to be intentional with the money, right? You want to make sure you know where the money is going and make sure it's strategically going where you need it to be, all right? So that's something I want you guys to get in the habit of doing. Get in the habit of start working on that. Whether you put $10, $20, $25 a week, whatever the case is, just start doing it, right? And I promise you, it gets easier over time, right? You'll start to forget about, looking at it. It just goes over there and it's there. Like you don't have to worry about it. So that's something that is very important, right? It's also going to help you with your overspending, right? When you have your budget in order, it's going to identify where you're overspending at. Right? So if you're overspending, you're going to know, okay, I need to cut back on this, or I need to cut back on this, or I need to increase on ways to earn additional income, right? And there's many different ways. Sometimes people do Uber or Lyft or whatever the case is, just trying to bring in some additional income. Whatever that means to you, it may be something that you want to start implementing. A lot of times, I live in California in the Bay Area, and things are extremely expensive here. So there are things that I need to do for my household is to help bring in additional income. I have several different things that I work on, right? So what that looks like for you, I can't answer that for you, but it's important to understand that you have to start thinking about these things. And once you start writing things down and you start seeing, money's going here, money's going there, money shouldn't go here. I should be able to do something else with it. These are types of things that I'm talking about, where you'll start to be able to identify where you can cut back and make cuts at, right? So I got the income, I got the expenses, I got the overspending, accumulating debt. So if you can't afford to pay for it cash, you probably shouldn't put that on a credit card, right? Because what that means is by putting it on a credit card, you're going to start overspending, right? Now you may not be able to afford the monthly payment on that credit card. If you're only paying the monthly minimum, right? What does that look like? How many years is that going to take to pay off? Is it going to take you 23 years to pay something off, right? Or are you going to make additional payments to try to pay that down in a much quicker time frame? So what that looks like to you, I cannot answer. All I try to mention to people is if you cannot afford to pay for it cash, maybe you shouldn't put it on a credit card, right? Now, I'm not talking about like a car or a house or anything like that. I'm talking about, you see somebody with a Gucci belt on and now you need to have a Gucci belt that costs $600, right? So these are the types of things I'm talking about. You have to start to identify wants and needs and affordability, right? So if you're not already budgeting, if you already don't have a budget in place, I encourage you, start today, right? There's no time like the present to get started. And I promise you, if you start with putting together your emergency fund, before you know it, you're already going to have that $1,000 there, right? Once you have that $1,000, then start working on trying to tackle your debt. Once you finish tackling your debt, go back to emergency fund. Start to build that emergency fund up. Make it 3 to 6 months, right? You want to have a minimum of 3 months emergency fund. I like to say 6 if you can push it to 12. 12 months of all of your expenses put into an account that you don't touch unless it's for an emergency. What's an emergency? That Gucci belt I just talked about is not an emergency, right? So you're not going to take money from that to go buy it just because you built up the money in that account. That's not for spending. That's for like, I don't know, your refrigerator goes out or the washing machine breaks and you need to go buy a new one. You take from there and then you start to replenish that. Once you've already got your 3, 6, or 12 months already stored away in the bank, then you can start working on additional things, right? Start taking that money. Maybe you might want to start investing in your retirement, right? Life insurance, IULs. There's all kinds of different avenues that you can start working on, but it all starts with creating a budget. And that's what I recommend you guys start doing today. So with that being said, I want to thank you for watching the video, right? If you like the information I talked about, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. If you have questions or comments, put them in the comments below. I'm just trying to do my part in helping educate my community. So with that being said, let's get active.